Welcome back to my conversation with Father Robert Hagan. He's an Augustinian friar and a friend of Pope Leo XIV. We're here at Merrimack College, just north of Boston, for an event to celebrate Pope Leo's first year as Bishop of Rome. Welcome back, Father Rob.
Thank you.
All right, so last summer I saw that you got to visit Pope Leo at Castel Gandolfo to present him with the Medal of St. Augustine. My understanding is the Augustinians chose to give him that award before he had been elected Pope, and then he became Pope.
Exactly.
So what were the qualities that made the Augustinians decide that he would receive that when he was Cardinal Prevost?
There are a lot of different types of leadership these days. Autocratic, kind of my way or the highway. And for Augustine, another model of leadership is to be a servant leader. And we identified then Cardinal Prevost as a real example of what it means to be a servant leader. Then Father Bob Prevost did not aspire to these big jobs. He spent 20 years of his life working in the missions in Peru with the poorest of the poor. St. Augustine says, "For you I'm a bishop, with you I'm a Christian." To serve with, to not necessarily be at the top of the mountain, but maybe it'd be at the bottom holding the ladder so that everyone else can get up first. These are the qualities that we identified in then Cardinal Prevost and wanted to celebrate that. And as the invitations went out, the conclave happened and he was elected Pope. And so he wrote us back and says, "You might expect I won't be able to make the dinner." But he still gave us the wonderful opportunity to present him with the medal. And we had a wonderful honor to go over and basically crash his retreat house in this majestic setting and present him with the St. Augustine medal, which he graciously accepted on behalf really of our whole order, but our province and the people that we serve.
That's beautiful. You know, there's been a lot of talk about more people coming into the church or maybe coming back to the church. They left maybe when they were young adults and now they are coming back to the sacraments. The Hallow app did an analysis and found that on average, American dioceses had 38% more people joining the church this year, 2026, compared to 2025.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you think Pope Leo has had an effect on that.
I really do. I really do. I saw a recent CARA study that also has identified the young adult group and the Gen Zers as being open and receptive to matters of the faith. And I just think, how could it not be Pope Leo, especially in this country, for lapsed Catholics, for people who maybe been sitting on the sideline, to see someone that is relatable, that speaks their language, who is humble, who speaks with great clarity, who roots for the White Sox, who likes deep dish pizza. He's a relatable yet faith-filled, exceptionally bright Holy Father that I think is, and this is also very Augustinian, inviting people to come back without judgment, without a sense of, well, I have been away for a while, I don't know what all the rules are, but, very much like Augustine, to seek God through friendship, through building relationship. And so, anecdotally, we're seeing it in our parishes. People have said that he's made a very good first impression.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to kind of capitalize on that momentum. I think that's what tonight is about. This is a sold-out event who people will just want to understand more about how Pope Leo's Augustinian values are shaping his papacy.
Totally. Yeah, I do remember that moment when it was announced. My husband and I were just like on the edge of our seats and like an American. And I just remember thinking, wow, God didn't forget about us.
Yeah.
And it felt like just so much joy. And I don't say that to mean like, oh, it's just for us Americans, because he truly is Pope of the world.
Well, he really has exemplified that, right? In the places that he's visited, in the kind of transcendental values that he calls us to as peacemakers, that really don't align with any one country, but really we're bigger than that, that we're all sisters and brothers, that we're all made in the image and likeness of God. And to really see each other that way. And I think he's calling us to that kind of higher vision.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about leisure because that's something that St. Augustine wrote about quite a bit.
Yes.
And I was curious because I've heard that Pope Leo enjoys playing tennis. And I was just wondering if you knew, as his friend, does he still engage in tennis as a form of leisure, or do you know what some of his leisure activities are?
Well, I do know that he still likes tennis. And when we were over in Castel Gandolfo, we had a conversation, and it sounds like one of his members on his council, one of his secretaries, is a tennis player. And so I do believe that they do get out on the court and volley a little bit, even now. So I'm happy to hear that. I know he has so much of travel and such a tight schedule that I just think it would be healthy for him to maintain that outlet.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask you too, what has been your favorite moment to just witness in this past year of Pope Leo's first year as Pope?
A lot of people have commented on how seamlessly he seems to have found the role as a Holy Father. And I think that he just loves people. And so I love watching the audiences. I love, he's had various encounters with youth in the audiences when he's around in the Pope Mobile. He'll stop, he'll engage, he'll bless the babies.
Oh, I love when he has
read
babies.
the signs. He is a people person. And I think as a result, he's kind of helping to be a facilitator of God's grace in kind of fun, joyful ways.
Totally. Well, Father Rob, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to chat with you about your brother, Pope Leo XIV, and God bless.
Thank you, Victoria.